the Gators are really struggling. I think tonight is a watershed moment. I don't see any way now that Dan Mullen will be the football coach next year at the University of Florida. They have to make a move. We can get into it as deep as you want. Dylan, I think you follow some of the stuff I do with College Sports Today, and then Saturday kickoff on 1010XL. I've seen this before. The belligerent, angry, dig your heel in coach. Normally, that is the sign that they don't want to be there anymore for whatever reason. And occasionally programs overlook that and either give or keep a coach one more year. It ends up happening, meaning that they divorce the following year. And Dylan, you know me, you've been around me a long time. I've said when the coach needs to go for whatever reason, if you give the coach the extra year and you make the move the following year, it's not a 1-for-1, it's a 1-for-3. It sets you back about 3 years. I think Scott Strickland, I would imagine somewhere in the bowels of Williams-Brice Stadium, he's on the phone right now with President Fox at the University of Florida and some big-time boosters before he gets on that plane and heads back to Gainesville. I think they've got some serious discussions to have, and lawyers and agents need to start talking. I think the divorce needs to happen for the good of the Florida football program.
Terry, so let's start here. Let's go bird's eye view aerial shot, because I was expected to catch up with you last week. We couldn't because Florida, Georgia. I think you were caught with paparazzi. I don't know, the girls got to you or something. You couldn't catch up with us. But
I think it was more like 150,000 people around that area. It's a madhouse coming out.
Yeah.
I was at the game.
So I always just want to go back to this. Florida's 8-1 going to LSU last year. Since then, the whole program has done a complete 180. What changed from understanding Florida's defense was awful last year and you compensated with excellent offense? You lose talent, but I mean, it seems like everything has just completely fell off of Florida.
Yeah, a couple things. They stumbled into some generational players. I mean, Kadarius Toney, I don't think the staff developed him last year in the offseason of last year as much as Toney decided to develop himself. Kyle Trask, they stumble into him. And then Kyle Pitts, who would have thought he'd been that great. I still think it all goes back to margin of error with talent on the roster. Florida, as the season played out last year, even against a depleted LSU team last year, LSU's 54 players were a lot better than Florida's first 54. I know they only had 54 because of the COVID last year. It goes back to talent. When you are not as talented as the average teams you're playing, your margin for error is so small. I'll give you an example. The Florida lost to Kentucky this year. Kentucky doesn't do a whole lot on offense. Florida, because their roster is not a lot better than Kentucky's. Georgia's roster is a lot better than Kentucky's this year. Alabama's roster is a lot better than Kentucky this year. If either one of those teams played Kentucky the same game in Lexington several weeks ago, they would have won that game 24-20 because their talent would have won out. Florida, they're not discernibly better than the Kentuckys of the world. So if they have a night where they play at 70%, they're going to lose that game probably. An Alabama, 70% for Alabama and Georgia is still beating almost everybody on the team because their talent level is way up here. I think it just goes back to talent. It goes back to recruiting. And it's been an absolute nightmare for Dan Mullen recruiting.